The actual birthday today? Wow. The stars are in alignment, aren't they? So our singing of happy birthday applies to at least two. Anybody else birthday today? You can't lie about it. No? Okay. Everybody join me? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Annie. Happy birthday to you. Very good. So I was asked to begin with giving a little profile of Betty. And so I hired a private investigator. I take these matters very seriously. I hired a private investigator to do some research and some background, and that person passed along a few notes regarding Betty. She was born in Virginia. Let me know if any of this is incorrect. I'll try to get my money back from the person that I paid to do this. Betty was born in Virginia, grew up in Williamsburg with two sisters, the middle child, who is often considered the bossy one. Yeah? All right. So far, so good. Betty attended William and Mary College, and she met her husband, Bob, there. She has three children, Peter, Cam, whose birthday it is today, and Rob. Bob's career took them to Louisville, Kentucky, where Betty was appointed Director of Farmington Historic House Museum. A perfect match, as she could expand on her love of antiques, plus manage a gift shop. Her son, Peter, first introduced them to Sanibel while working at Page Field. The first vacation, there's something about castaways in 1982. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you were at the Castaways. 1982. Yeah, wonderful. I thought you were Castaways, and I want to hear the backstory on that to be sure. They attended St. Michael and All Angels as vacationers. They moved to Sanibel permanently in 1995. She stopped to donate items at Noah's Ark, liked the way it looked, and became a volunteer. That's a story that's been told more than once, isn't it? Noah's Ark. Betty is talented in making things pretty. One of her first displays was black and white with red accents. Black and white with red accents. The Ark chair at the time, who will remain nameless, commented that it looked like a lot of trouble. But it sold immediately, and everyone knew that the Ark had found its decorator. And Betty remains famous for her table arrangements to this day. If you go in and look at the decorated tables and things on the shelves, and it's just fabulous. Betty has served on numerous ministries at St. Michael's. Her total altar guild service is 50 plus years, beginning back in Louisville and continuing here at St. Michael's. 50 plus years of service on the altar guild. Just to make note, the canons say that you can retire from the altar guild when you're 90. So that's, yeah. Betty has always been beholding to the canons, if nothing else. Betty lives at Shell Point with her mischievous cat, Taliaferro. I'm not saying that right. Tolliver. Oh, it's a misprint. I am getting my money back. Okay, it's Tolliver. A stunning tuxedo who is known to steal her jewelry and pull the emergency cord in her condo. I bet that's fun. They're showing up in their firefighter helmets with their axes, right, Betty? They're ready to make a hole in something, and oh, it was the cat. I'm wrapping it up here. Don't worry. She enjoys being a narrator on the Susie Q. I've had the privilege of being a part of some of her narration, and those are boat trips from Shell Point. It gives her a chance to relate local history and much about wildlife. She knows much about wildlife to others, so that's something she truly enjoys. And last but not least, I learned that she loves pineapple upside down cake, which is one of the reasons that it is being served at this reception in her honor. So those are a few notes about Betty. Yeah. Oh, hang on. I want everybody to hear.
That is not a mistake in spelling. It's Talafero, pronounced Tolliver, in Virginia.
Oh, in Virginia. So it's Virginia speak. Okay. So I'm going to have to pay the private investigator after all.
Isn't there a hall at William and Mary? Not anymore.
There's a Tolliver Hall named after your cat at William and Mary? Of course. So even though I love the mic, I wanted to provide a little space for anyone else who would like to say a few words about Betty. Is anybody inspired to say a few words about Betty? All right.
I just have to thank Betty. Where are you? There you go. I've been your assistant for some of those years, not much. We've had fun. We've gone up to Dayspring. We've had a heck of a lot of fun running up and down the highway. And Betty, you have the honor of, we enjoyed one hurricane together and had fun. It was a good thing. That was a fun hurricane. That was fun. There is such a thing. And just a little bit. And one of the days for them.
Thank you, Julie. Who else?
I'm John Pryor, and I'm proud friend of Betty. Over 20 years ago, when Judy and I moved to Sanibel, one of the first things I wanted to get involved in was something that would mean more than just the church work that I've always done in the past. And I found out about Noah's Ark. I went to Noah's Ark, and I never stopped. I was there for 3 or 4 years, and they asked me to run the book section. In that period of time, I met this fabulous friend, Betty. Betty and I did something together that was probably never done by anybody else in Noah's Ark. Now, before you get the wrong idea, Peter, where are you? And Judy would attest to the fact that when we closed Noah's Ark, all the volunteers, the people that were buying things, the customers, the volunteers all left. The door was locked, and Betty and I went to work. Because Betty, as Bill told you so well, did a wonderful job with all the glassware and the dishes and the things that came in to Noah's Ark to just lay on those tables. And I was running the book section. So after 4 o'clock in the day, we got all of our work done. And Betty always wanted to make sure the door was locked. She didn't want anybody sneaking in while we were working. And I developed a relationship with a woman I respect so much. Our ages are pretty close. We're pretty similar. And I just love this lady. And I got to tell you, she is a great pleasure to work with, and a wonderful credit, certainly to what she's done at St. Michael's, and particularly Noah's Ark. Love you, sweetie.
I'd just like to say that I love to go to resale stores, and I've been to a lot. And all you have to do is go to another resale store, and then you appreciate what Betty did at the Ark. She gave us a class and an order, and we thanked her for it.
Let me say quick too, something Betty taught me at the Ark a long time ago. Something happened, we said, God willing, and the creek don't rise. She said, it's not the creek, it's the Cree Indians. It's God willing and the Cree don't rise. Has anybody ever heard that before? So it has to be a Virginia thing. But anyway, the Ark would like to give you something since you are, it's just as silly.
We're not there yet, according to my list.
Oh, okay.
I have a Bettyism that all of you will understand. When I was a newbie to the congregation and the Ark, I was approached and I was asked, would you please be the first chair for Noah's Noel? What's Noah's Noel? And I thought, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. So I have to get good people as chairs. So I called Carol Heath first and said, Carol, would you consider being in charge of checkout? And she, you know, so sweet, she said, oh, yes, of course I will. And then I called Neva Poole and said, Neva, would you please be in charge of refreshments? And she said, well, what would you like to have planned? And I said, whatever you want. So then I thought, uh-oh, decorations and the layout. So of course, who would I call? I called Betty the decorator. And I said, Betty, would you please be in charge of the decor and the layout for Noah's Noel? And I was planning to tell her what Noah's Noel was. And she said, I have already done it.
You can say C. Either
Protocol. Hi, Betty and I and Bob and Scott have been friends since we took a power squadron class together. This was long before I had gotten involved in the Ark. But my day came finally, and ECW said, would you be the president next year? And I said, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I said, maybe if I ask Betty, she'll co-chair with me. And she did. And she had just finished her term as president, so she was president the year before I was, which was most appreciated. And you got me through it, thank you.
Would you like to tell them the stunts you pulled the day of the fashion show?
Honest to goodness, it was not a stunt. I told you I wasn't feeling well. Would you mind terribly if I left, because we were both running had about 160 people in the parish hall. It was so, if the fire chief had ever come, we'd have been out of the business for sure. And I went home and I did end up with appendicitis and had him out the next day. So she still hasn't forgiven me.
I hope all of you realize that when you say 50 years, the ministry that you have, and every service, and it used to be on Saturday night and 2 on Sunday mornings, and all of the women who were so faithful in the altar guild, but especially Betty, after Holy Week, Palm Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and 3 services on Sunday, I'd be feeling exhausted, and then I'd run into Betty, and there she was, just a spring flower, ready to go, and we both kind of shook our heads and said, well, it's over. So, congratulations on your retirement, and thank you for all those years, and especially all the other women who do such a marvelous job here.
Hey Betty, I'm doing this in honor of my mom. As you remember, when Mom and I came in 2003, it took us a while to finally make it to St. Michael's, but we finally got there when Ellen arrived in 2009. And Mom was like, oh, I really want to do Altar Guild. And Betty was like, you'll do Altar Guild? She's like, we're begging people, we need people. Mom was like, yeah, I did it back at Lordship, at St. John's Episcopal Church, I'd love to do it. You guys do different things here. And so Betty's like, well, I'll train you. Well, I'll never forget the first time Mom came home, she was like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. It's totally different down here than it is up in New England. But Betty has the patience of Job to do this with me. And then Mom and you got together. I remember she helped put together the binder, the Altar Guild binder, which sadly got destroyed in the end. And Mom has since passed away, and I don't have a copy of it. And many of the Altar Guild members keep saying to me, you don't have a spare? I'm like, well, I didn't know a whole lot about it. But you've been wonderful, and I still remember certain things on the altar and how things were set up and not set up. And also, when I did prayers for the people scheduling, you would be wonderful and always say yes for wherever I needed you to fill in for whatever service. So you're a truly dedicated volunteer at St. Michael's.
We're gonna put that back together.
Okay.
I have a couple.
All right.
I have a couple that got mailed in. People who could not be here. One from Lee Williams, who's back up north already. And she said, I see in the Friday brief that you want comments about working with Betty. I have known her for at least 20 years and worked at the Ark for at least 10. She was always knowledgeable and thoughtful and kind, although she would give you her opinion. You would listen because she was usually right. She was a blessing to us all. Cheers, Liz. This one is from Amanda Rutledge and Jim, our steamer. They're also back up north. Dear Betty, chatter from the workroom at the Ark. We're pretending here. A box arrives and we start rooting through the contents. Here are the comments. Oh, save those plates for Betty. Betty will love this tablecloth. Those glasses are hideous. She won't like those. How does Betty set such a beautiful table? And save this for Christmas. Betty will put it all together. Then she says, thank you very much for the jobs you did at the Ark for so many years. In case you want to sneak in, is this an old story that we haven't heard? One day, here's the key. So she sent you the old key to the door. This is probably older than me. Plus, she sent this priority mail, $10. You're okay. So, true friend. Yeah.
She has to have the key.
Yes. I do have a story, just with me and Betty. Let's see, probably 2010, I first came to St. Michael's. And Ellen can tell you, I did not know anybody, I did not talk to anybody. I sat in my little pew, cried, mostly. But I never talked to anybody. So, one day, Lee Williams got up and said, we need people volunteering at Noah's Ark. Ellen had said, if you can't find your letter, transfer to church to be a member, just join the ministry. I thought, okay, I'll go to Noah's Ark. I'll learn to talk, maybe. So I go to Noah's Ark. Betty Carr is in charge for the day. She takes me around and shows me everything. This is furniture, this is sports, these are shoes, you know. These two tables, these two tables are Betty Mody's. Remember, I don't know anybody. She sketched these tables. We don't usually bother them. Only an emergency if it sells. But she'll come in and redo them. So we go to the workroom. This corner is Betty Moody. We don't put anything there without her approval. We don't dare take anything away without her. So, we go back on through the workroom to the Christmas room. This is the Christmas room. It belongs to Betty Moody. Don't put anything in there, just leave it in the general thing. She has a place for everything. Okay. So, by now, I am absolutely terrified. And I'm wondering if I have made right decisions for my ministry. But I finally met her and she was very nice and didn't throw in quarters. Welcome client, and it was one of the best things I actually have ever done. We liked it.
Sounds like it should be Betty's Ark instead of Noah's Ark.
Hi, everyone. It is such an honor to be here. I have to look at Betty. It's such an honor to be here. And I just want to say the depth of my gratitude for the 10 years we worked as a team. I remember not long after I got here in '09, dear Mary Vernon died, and Mary was the director of the Altar Guild, and you stepped right up to the plate. And, you know, there was a serious spiritual side to the preparing the table and those quiet hours before the service. But there were also some fun times, Betty. Especially when we would go out and look, and it was all green, and it was supposed to be white. Or things, whoever was supposed to show up had not got it right, but you fixed it. I love the stories, every Advent, putting out all the camels, and making sure the camels were as far back as we could. And whoever put that little sheep on top of the manger?
I can imagine.
I like to surprise Betty. I guess one of the funniest stories, and again, it was so wonderful working with you, just so wonderful. Betty was sitting pretty close up to the front that morning, and it was either an acolyte or a Eucharistic minister. Began to wash my hands, but they didn't have the basin underneath. Oh no. And Betty's eyebrows went up, and there was really nothing we could do until after the service. But we had some, it was serious times, but so many times of joy and laughter. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I have a small caveat to Mickey and Betty's place. A number of years ago, we were having a problem with space, so we added a little warehouse and by the work area, and it was supposed to handle the overload and all that. It soon became Betty's place, Christmas room.
Thank you all for those marvelous remembrances. Now, Susie. Now you're on for the gifts.
I can probably yell because I'm loud. But when I first joined the Ark and that day, one of the things she told me right away was that she always got a Noah's Ark gift for all of her children at Christmas time. And I thought that was such a fabulous idea, and I started doing that probably 18 years ago. And that is the one thing that my children look most forward to, and my grandchildren, every Christmas. It was such a fabulous idea, I just couldn't believe you came up with it. And I'm still doing it, although I'm kind of doing it in another place right now, unfortunately. But anyway, we talked about Noah's Ark. We had so much fun there, so many things went on, so it's only right that you get a present from a fruit shop. Great. But you must share it, and you'll see we share it.
Oh my goodness, look.
It's Oliver's blankie.
Oh, Oliver's blankie. That kind of
So now it says Betty can say a few words if she wishes. So, I'm putting you on the spot. Oh, sorry, we got more gifts. You didn't write that down, Mickey. Wasn't on your list.
Use the mic for people that are watching.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Presented to Betty Modis in sincere appreciation for your outstanding service, St. Michael and All Angels Episcopal Church for 2023. We hope you will hang this in the sacristy when it is newly done to be there.
That could be the first thing hung in the newly refurbished space.
It should be hung in
Noah's Ark.
It's being suggested to be hung in Noah's Ark. Leave that up to Betty. She can make the decision on what she wants about it.
First of all, thank you all so much. It's been such a special thing for me, and I truly appreciate it. And it's been great having family here. Introduce my boys and Cam. This is Rob, my eldest, and Peter, Rob lives in the Keys, in Largo, Key Largo. And this is his wife, Jonelle, and Peter, who lives over in Pine Island, in a trailer in his driveway. Had the storm not long ago. And Cam, who comes to us from North Carolina. And this is this is my granddaughter. My granddaughter, Rebecca. Oh dear, y'all saw how many children and grandchildren. Doesn't drive you absolutely bonkers. And she too is my great-granddaughter. Oh, my great-granddaughter. And it's lovely. We had a huge gang last night. And I felt so sorry for the people who were trying to have a quiet dinner.
Betty, that is correct. Actually, downstairs neighbors.
Let me tell you all how I got started with Altar Guild. I received a lovely invitation that invited me to tea at a certain lady's house. And it was signed by the lady and our rector. So I thought, oh, how nice, you know, and like a very innocent somebody, I went to the tea. And it was beautiful. And they chatted, and everybody had such a good time. There were about 6 other ladies there as well. And when we got through, the rector got up and said, I want to welcome all of you to the Altar Guild. How did that happen? and now I go around begging people to be on the Altar Guild. I just needed to invite you to tea. I don't know why I missed that one. Anyway, I'm not the only person who's had a 90th birthday. A favorite of mine, Willie Nelson. Willie also turned 90, and he's written a song that I love. He's standing firmly on the ground. And the last time I checked, my mind was still reasonably sound. I think those lyrics apply to any of us who hit the age of 90. But thank you all so much. It's been fun, wonderful fun. And I really am bossy. I admit it.
Thank you all. Thank you everybody who helped with all of the setup and the food and everything to make this happen. It looks like there's still some food on the table if you'd like a little more. Thank you, Betty. It's been wonderful. I've only had the chance to work with you for a short time, but it's been absolutely fabulous. I enjoyed every minute of it. So, thank you, everybody.